Congratulations, you decided to become a drummer. Good move, coolest instrument in the world. You have a long and fun road ahead of you. And what I decided to do was just hook you up with what I think are the best tips for a beginner drummer to learn. Getting the right information at the right time is critical to your success on the drums, and there's no better right time than right at the beginning. These tips will help you to avoid any bad habits that you could potentially develop in the beginning stages, and they will ensure that you learn all the right things the right way, which will eventually just accelerate your process. So here we go. Top 10 tips for new drummers. Number one, the most important thing that you will ever do for the entire time you're learning this instrument is develop your hands. Developing your hands is critical for your technique because a lot of your technique happens right here. So this means learning how to use your fingers, learning how to use your wrist, and learning how to use your elbow. These are your three gears for everything that you do with your upper torso. So work on your hands as often as you possibly can. The better your hands are developed, the smoother you're going to sound. This brings us to point number 2. Buy a good practice pad and download a metronome app onto your phone. If you don't have a metronome app on your phone, you're not a drummer. Invest in a good practice pad that you can work on whenever you're not on the drums. Put it in front of the TV, practice while you're watching, but having a practice pad around will just help you to continue to work on your hands when you're not on the drums. Every serious drummer has a practice pad in his house, at least one. I got like 7 of those things in my house, and I use them all the time. I have one in front of the TV, and whenever I'm sitting there watching TV, I'm doing something. It drives my wife crazy, but I'm always working on my hands. Number 3, as a new drummer, you're probably going to be surprised at how many different types of drumsticks there are on the market. Picking the right pair for your hands is super important. You don't know how many times I've seen 5 and 6-year-old drummers using these gigantic 2B drumsticks. Try out a few pairs of sticks. Make sure you have one that fits well in your hands. If you got large hands, try a 5B, try a 2B or whatever. If you're a young dude, you got smaller hands, stick to something 5A or thinner. Number 4, get familiar with all of the available grips. Learn your match grip, learn all the different variations of the match grip, French, German. If you want to get into traditional, you can do that as well, depending on whatever direction you want to go. But I would suggest learning all of the available grips. Get your fingers happening, get your wrists happening. There's no one particular grip that you're going to want to stick to because different grips are like tools in a toolbox and they all have a different purpose. So learn all of your grips, get comfortable with them, and practice them often. Number 5, posture is important. Make sure you set up your kit so that it fits you instead of you just sitting down and adapting to the kit. Part of this is going to mean choosing the right sizes in the first place. There's a lot of different there's only really 2 different configurations for starter kits. There's a 10, 12, 14 setup. If you're a short guy or if you're a young dude, you probably want to stick to the 10, 12, 14 setup. It's just going to be a lot more flexible for you. And you're not going to be reaching up too high to hit anything. The problem with the 12, 13, 16 setup, which are the larger size configurations for starter kits, sometimes when you're young or when you're short, you have to set the toms up at uncomfortable angles just to be able to hit them. And sometimes you end up with these, Mickey Mouse ear toms in front of you and all that kind of stuff. Learn to set up your kit ergonomically to your body, and it'll just ensure that you're a lot more comfortable while you're playing, and you'll end up sounding better. Number 6, learn how to tune your drums. Learn how to tune your drums. There's nothing worse than a drummer that can't tune his own kit. Learning how to tune your drums is just as important as learning how to play them. The good news is, tuning is pretty easy, regardless of whatever troubles you may have had before in trying to learn. Tuning's pretty easy. I have 3 tuning videos on my channel: how to tune your toms, how to tune your snare, and how to tune your bass drum. If you've never tuned in your life before, you follow the steps on these videos, your kit will sound awesome, probably on the first try. Number 7, the best way to practice when you're a beginner is to play along with music. The first 2 or 3 years of my practice, that's pretty much all I did. I would put on album after album after album, and I would just play. It doesn't matter what you sound like in the beginning. It's probably not going to sound great, to be honest with you. But playing along with music prepares you for playing with people in the future. You get to work on a lot of things at the same time, and it's fun. So keep that in mind. Like, one of the best ways to practice playing drums is to practice playing the drums. Stick your earphones in, just throw on a tune, and just start playing it. Eventually, you'll start to get better as your mechanics start to develop. In between that, as you're working on your hands and you're learning some of the more technical aspects of playing, you just go back and reapply it to playing along with the music. And eventually you just end up sounding better. But again, critical, man. One of the best ways to practice as a beginner drummer, play along with as much music as possible. This brings us to number 8. Listen to as many different styles of music as you can. I don't care what your favorite particular style of music is, you're going to learn something from everything. The more different types of music you listen to, the more valuable you're going to be down the road when you actually start going out and making money playing the drums. There's a lot of drummers out there that pigeonhole themselves and only play rock, or they only play funk, or they only play gospel. I'm telling you right now, listen to everything. You're going to learn something from each different style, and it's going to help you to develop your own thing. Number 9, repetition fixes everything. The best way to become great at doing something is doing it a million times in a row. Whenever you're working on anything physical on the kit, this means developing a new grip if you want to get that traditional thing happening, or that hand and foot coordination thing. Everything's going to be difficult at first. It's supposed to be difficult at first, but repetition fixes everything. Whenever you're trying to learn something new, start slow and just do it over and over and over and over again. Your muscles will learn what to do, and that's how you develop that skill. And number 10, and this is actually a pretty important thing, upgrade your gear as you progress. If you started out with a starter kit package, so anything under $500, I would say, that came with everything, there are 3 main things that you're probably going to want to swap out within the first year or year and a half. Your kick drum pedal, your snare drum, and your hi-hat stand. These are the 3 main pieces that you're going to be using the most. On top of that, you're probably going to want to swap out for some better cymbals. Just make sure that you buy stuff. Keep in mind, think long term. So buy pieces of gear that you can transfer to your next kit as you start to move up. Most guys have a minimum of 3 kits in their lifetime. Their starter kit, their mid-level kit, you'll play on that for several years, and then eventually you move up to your high-end set of drums. Upgrading your gear just encourages you to play better. So make sure that as you progress, you continue to upgrade your kit. If you have any questions about your new kit, just talk to the staff at the music store that you're at, or even send me an email. So there you go, man. There's probably more tips that I can give you. I'm sure there's a ton, but those are probably the top ones that I could think of that are sure to help you on your way to learning this instrument efficiently, and you'll avoid bad habits and bad information, and it'll just speed up the process for you. So good luck, congratulations, and keep playing.